Hello and welcome to another episode of Wednesday Night Undressed. I am Lou, your host, and tonight I am joined by Mr. Fernando Lafort.
Hello.
Mr. Andrej Lafort.
Hello.
And Parker Simon. And tonight we have as a special guest running our boards the fantastic Mr. Neil Rasmussen.
Hello.
How are you tonight, Neil?
I'm very good.
Very good. All right, and we are waiting for Mr. Ivo Ivanov, who will probably be bouncing in here in any minute. But before he gets here, I wanted to just kind of start off with asking what is a annual question for us. Does anybody have any New Year's resolutions? I want to start with the young'uns. Parker, did you make resolutions this year?
I definitely want to try and indulge more with the ladies.
Oh boy.
You know what I mean?
You got to have a willing lady to do that. Is that likely?
No, yeah, I've multiple, but
Wow.
you know, I'm just trying to. Yeah, I'd probably just say put myself out there.
Gotcha.
Because I haven't been on the map recently.
I understand. How about you, Andrej? Do you make New Year's resolutions?
No, but I would probably just say, make more money because I just got a job at Sonic.
Sweet. So when you get a job at Sonic, do you have a set list of duties, or is it just kind of like wherever you are needed?
It depends. I'm trained to do all the drinks and everything, and the ice cream, and then I can do the headsets, and I can car hop orders. I can take them out, but I can't cook the food or
Gotcha.
do I don't know, the order to bag stuff and what all you have to put in different things.
Gotcha.
But, yeah, and then other than that, when you're just not doing anything, you just should clean something or restock something.
That's what I tell my kids. It doesn't work at home, so we'll see. Mr. Lafort, how about you? Do you make New Year's resolutions?
That's interesting because normally I don't. I think it's never brought me anywhere, and I'm very skeptical. But I got a little motivated this year, so I started reading a book from Rick Rubin, the music producer. Mm-hmm. It's almost, don't quote me the name of the book. It's very it's about creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And
is this the book that he's been doing the podcasts on recently?
Yeah, possibly, because that's his latest, and I don't know how many. If he wrote any, it's just it's a guy who has interesting stories, and the book, when you read, it feels like a self-motivational.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting. He's very tactical. It feels pure. Feels like it's their guy. His experience being shared. 100%. It's in one point it's weird because it's not the kind of literature that I would seek.
Right.
And perhaps if it wasn't his name behind, I would not freaking touch. And if it wasn't music, but coincidentally, what's the name?
The Creative Act.
That's
The Way of
it.
Being by Rick Rubin.
So I always things that I always like, but now I decided to maybe go rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta start refurbing audio equipment because I always had the skills.
Mm-hmm.
I like music. Go nuts.
So when you say audio equipment, do you mean instruments, or are you talking about old amps?
Oh no,
and
just
things like that?
amps and receivers, turntables, tuning, and no music instruments. I'm not there.
Does that book go into his early?
Not at all. You barely It's very. I thought would be. That's why it's weird about this book, and I say that feels like those. What's the called
motivational.
Motivational.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But it feels it's pure about the mass. Evo.
Yeah. It's good to see you, man.
So besides that, audio gear, right?
Uh-huh.
We were why did I look back? What was?
You were saying that you were refurbing audio gear as part of your New Year's resolution.
So that's my one resolution. Another one is quit smoking. I was very close last year, and I got the right recipe. I just gave up and throw everything to hell, and not that hell is a good place. Don't take me wrong. Satanist by nature,
right.
But But anyhow, I had the right recipe. I just lost the motivation, and now I gotta, since I gotta. That's it. So that's I think all I have.
Gotcha.
Audio gear, quit smoking.
What am I looking at the beginnings of a handlebar mustache too? Is that a
What?
It looks like you're starting to grow a handlebar mustache.
No, I wish I don't have. I would pull off before it grows. Like it doesn't grow much. I don't know.
Gotcha.
I wish.
Gotcha.
Maybe next year.
All right. Mr. Ivanov.
Hey.
New Year resolution.
New Year resolution.
Did you? Okay, I think we've talked about it enough that I seem to remember that you, as a general rule, don't make New Year's resolutions.
Usually.
Yeah.
My resolution is usually to not have any resolutions for 2025.
Right.
Just to
I like
stay resolution free. But that being said, I've been procrastinating. I've been writing two things: a novel. A fictional novel and a theatrical play, and I've been procrastinating for 3 years with these things. So maybe this year I'll finish them. That's
Gotcha.
hopefully. Let's hope so. We'll see.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's my goal. Anyway.
I don't think I have made New Year's resolutions as a part of like the New Year celebration in probably 20 years. I think I find the artifice of New Year. We've talked about this on the podcast. We talk about this on the podcast every show immediately after New Year's. But I find the artifice of New Year's as the time to make your resolution super constrictive. I am much more likely to stick to something if I do it on Tuesday rather than on January 1st. And I don't know what the mechanics are for that.
And that's like just correcting. That's my new resolution, but I didn't start in any of them. I don't have like really like, okay, this is my goal for this coming year. It's not that thing like, on a midnight, or like, I don't give a shit for that chronological thing.
Yeah. Go ahead, Parker.
But I feel like by the time it's like June, no one's thinking about, oh yeah, my New Year's resolution.
That's the good time for you buy exercise equipment.
Yeah.
Good deals on treadmills, whatever you think, Pelotons.
Yeah. That's
June that's good because June is half a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it in June? That's like half a year, kids. So that's a good time to look back.
Yeah.
And kind of reevaluate your resolution and where you at. We never think about
You'd be the
June,
half-ass year
revolution.
revolution.
No, but see, that is essentially the problem. Like if I just as a for example, if I stop eating sugar because I got the diabetes, if I stop eating sugar on a Thursday, it's for whatever reason a lot more empowering for me to continue to not have sugar for the rest of the year and then continue it like on and on and on. But if I start on January 1st, it feels super artificial and maybe I'm not ultimately ready, and then I end up forgetting about it, and then I look back on June, I failed again. So for me, I have learned that just for myself, this doesn't have to be for anybody else. For me, it works better to just start when I want to start and go for as long as I want to go.
Is that what yours is? Quit sugar?
So yeah, I do have the diabetes, and the last time I went to the doctor, which was in November, the doctor's like, your numbers are inflated, which was a kick in the butt for me because the entire time I've had the diabetes, I've been able to have normal numbers. Like I typically eat clean and exercise well enough that I don't have any indicators that I am diabetic other than the fact that I did at one point. And so probably November 10th of last year, like 2 months ago, I was just like, okay, I'm ready to stop with sugar. And I essentially cut all processed sugar out of my diet. I will still eat fruit, and I eat a lot of fruit. But outside of that, I don't have a whole lot of I don't have any sugar, and I have some bread. And don't have a problem with it. But if I had started 2 days ago, I would already be broken. So, and it is being in the proper mindset versus the date for me. Like, I can't just arbitrarily say January 1st, I'm going to be ready to do this. But after sitting down, listening to my doctor, thinking about it, pondering over what was important to me in my life, in the moment, then I can sort of mentally gird myself and be ready to to just do the thing that I got to do. So,
All right.
yeah. So, can I ask you, Neil?
Yeah.
Okay. What are your thoughts on the New Year's Eve resolution process? Do you have any this year?
Well, I've thought about it a lot. I think I want to be 1020 by 920 by 1080. Wow. Resolution.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's his resolution.
No.
Sorry. It's HD.
Right, yeah, he's in
Yeah.
HD. It's not 4K yet, but yeah.
I was thinking of increasing my exploring of alternative hobbies.
Which is frightening because you have a shocking number of alternative hobbies.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do, starting next week, is I'm going to start taking classes on raising bees.
That is so awesome.
Really? That's the only thing you haven't done yet. No, you're going to have beehives in
I'm going to have beehives in the backyard.
in the backyard.
What
Oh
about
my
wasps?
No,
God. They're wasps.
I already have those. No, the bees.
Not on purpose,
I'm going to
though.
raise the bees.
That
And I've
is
got
awesome.
I've got a bee outfit already.
Nice.
And I've ordered the hives, and I'm gonna get a big on I think it's April 9th or something like that. I'm gonna get a big old box of bees that I'm gonna have to take out and dump into my new hive. But in the meantime, every 2 weeks every week I have a bee class that I've got to go take. That's awesome. And the other thing I'm doing is I've learned how to do sourdough. I've learned how to do all kinds of crap like that. But I want to learn how to make cheese.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Are you buying a cow too?
Not yet.
Because that's the way. I mean, you know.
Not yet. Not
Sheep.
yet. No,
it's
but
cheaper to have a sheep.
Yeah.
Do sheep cheese.
Sheep
Or
cheese.
goat.
yeah.
Goat
I am
cheese.
disturbed that you know that immediately.
Well,
Like,
yeah. I mean, cow is much harder, more expensive to raise and feed than
that
a
would be
small
like-
goat.
I guess
nice,
that tracks.
nice,
Yeah.
nice sweater, Neil. Yeah, that's you know.
Then I'll
you
have
got-
to take them knitting.
No, but you got you have the sheep, and
Yeah.
then you make the wool and.
So let's think about this. You've done beer.
Yeah.
You've done your own beer.
Oh, I did that.
Mushrooms.
Yeah.
You grew mushrooms, which
Uh-huh.
was very complicated. The
Yeah.
mycelium, it was very, very finicky.
Yeah. It was
right?
tough.
Yeah. You've done all kinds of cooking. You've done
Sourdough bread.
sourdough
I
bread,
picked that back up again.
grilling from like grilling, but really high end,
Yes.
professional type.
Smoke.
Barbecuing.
Which
Barbecue
is
smoke.
cooking. What else have you done? Gardening.
Yeah.
A lot of gardening.
I've imbibed in alternative medicines.
Hmm.
The-
And of course, you're tracking weather. You have
Always,
a
yeah.
radar. No, he's got a special weather
Station on the roof.
station
Yeah.
that he has on the roof.
Yeah.
And now you're gonna do bees and you're gonna do cheese.
Yeah. That's
So let's face the truth. You're a freaking prepper. You're gearing up for the end of the world and being completely self-sufficient,
I'll be able to
tracking
make
weather.
beer, make
Yeah,
beer.
making beer, cheese, honey. By the way, the only food that doesn't need any kind of preservation,
Yep.
no refrigeration, nothing.
you can eat
It doesn't go
100-year-old
bad.
honey.
Yeah, it doesn't go bad.
Thousand-year-old honey. They
Yeah.
recently uncovered honey in like
Egypt.
in Egypt,
Yeah.
like 1,000 years old.
And
So-
it's edible.
yeah.
There you go. I'm done.
All right, then we will move on and just tackle our next question. It's actually kind of a serious question. And the idea behind the question is, like, is there a crime, or what is the crime, I think is probably the more accurate question, that would cause you to stop associating with someone? They are releasing the Epstein list. They're supposed to have released it today. I haven't seen it yet. But if they release the list of the Epstein associates and you found out that a friend of yours was on the list, would that be enough to stop you from associating with that person? And if not, like, what do you have any notion of what would be a crime that someone could engage in that would just have you say, I don't think I want to associate with that person anymore? I'll start with you, Fernando.
So first of all, the list would be nothing more than people that normally he invites for his whatever
to
to
his
be the island,
Yeah.
to be the so there is many things that might be very important there. Like I mean, it depends. So, okay, he's a guy that likes to. He was an influential person, very influential. Sadly,
Right.
Yeah.
however, his name already has been burned for many years ago, and we know, like already many names on that list. From Bill Gates to the guy that owns Tesla, whatever name is.
Elon Musk.
Yes.
Elon Musk. I'm not familiar with that person.
Yeah, it's a dude with some issues,
Gotcha.
So it depends. That it's very questionable. Okay, how much, if it's my friend that goes there, how much my friend knows what's the timeline? Because I mean, Epstein name already got burned a long time ago. Back in the day, the same way that he won influential people, he was influential once upon a time.
Right.
That doesn't mean that they, he was involved with crimes with. So it's very relative. It depends. It depends the timeline. I mean, you be a guest to a party. It's different that you be organizing the party.
No, I think you raise a super valid point that like merely being on the list is not a crime in and of itself.
So have any of you guys been there?
Well, that's the reason I asked the question, because when my name shows up on
Have you been there?
To where?
Epstein
to Epstein's
Island?
Island?
To Epstein's Island? No, I
You're
haven't been to the
influential.
pedal island.
Right.
But I don't. Is it in the Caribbean?
Yeah.
That's a lot of.
I've been there.
That's a lot of money. An island in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
In the Pacific, there's very remote islands that you can't. It's hard to get to. That probably are not that expensive to own, but the Caribbean's pretty developed, man,
Right.
and there's pretty much limited amount of land. So that guy, first of all, I want to know what was his business, because that's murky.
What
It's
was
not
his
clear.
business?
He was
Right.
speculating with
Very murky.
some kind of funds, but it's not clear how the fuck did he get his money and how much money did he really have. Was he lying about his wealth? It's not clear how he acquired his money. This is a very sketchy guy. You're right, though, that he was dabbling in politics and he was very interested in political influence. So the fact that he would, invite people on his plane and on his island doesn't necessarily, I don't think necessarily means he was having them have orgies with young women. It could have been just that he was trying to wine and dine them and have them, play his game, whatever it is.
And timeline.
Deregulation.
And timeline too, because I mean, there is sometimes there was clearly he was already guilty of many crimes, and then some people, and that's different. So let's say if you're like went to one of his parties, like in whatever year it was, and then after that can be another story, but still.
And
You don't know, like the same
yeah.
way he's a.
Like, for
He
example...
looks for he was an influencer once
Yeah.
upon a time.
Yeah, and for example, he was always. It is proven that he's been very close with Donald Trump, and had him on his airplane and everything. But it's not like, Donald Trump is not somebody that would commit a crime.
Yeah.
I mean, he always
Yes,
adheres
that's
to
a thanks
close to the
evil.
law.
Thanks evil.
Yeah.
That's thank you.
He always adheres to the rule of law.
Exactly.
And he was never interested in young women either.
Yes.
Two things that we can say for sure.
Sure,
about
yeah.
our-
But the original question is, what would be a crime that would make me disassociate with somebody?
Yeah.
Well, any crime against children, I would say. Any crime against children.
Yeah.
And frankly, crime against another human being that's been proven. Like that you inflict harm on a human being, it's proven in the court of law, I would probably not want to be around that person.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So
physical harm.
I probably am. I'm probably not as strict on the causing harm, which I don't know what that says about me, but like I absolutely think, and I would bet that it's probably a given that like harming kids is a no-go.
Yeah.
But I think that like every person has the ability to cause harm, and so like it would not surprise me that say for instance, somebody as kind-hearted as Fernando, like got pissed and hit somebody in the head with a stick.
Yeah.
Depends on what the circumstances would be. Like, if you were just like feeling like, hey, today I want to hit somebody with a stick, then yeah, that'd be a problem. I'd probably not want to hang out with you anymore. But if somebody had done something to you that was like understandable, I might be able to make some leeway.
Okay, if you've eaten another human being.
Right. Okay. Yeah. There we go.
Depending on the circumstance. What about if you
Oh,
do
if you're starving.
Uruguayan team on Andes mountain,
In the Andes, the movie Alive.
and they eat then alive. They eat after they die.
You're right. I would probably be friends with
Would
them.
that be
but
okay?
Yeah, I stay friends with them. But
I'm not saying I did that.
I'll just move away when they belch.
Right.
I'll just step away if they try to belch.
Gentlemen, Andrej, what do you think? Is there a crime that you would say I don't want to hang out with this person anymore?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If it was just something that like harm, if it's like a victimless crime, I don't really care. Like if they just did something.
How do you define a victimless crime?
If someone else isn't impacted, like in a bad way.
Yeah, like if he steals from the rich.
Well, yeah,
and
like
gives to the poor.
yeah,
or-
like if someone like
yeah.
stole something from Target, I wouldn't be like, oh, I can't associate with you anymore. Like it's
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean the store's
Like,
called
yeah.
Target.
yeah,
It's their fault.
yeah.
Right. No, I think that tracks, and I think that I feel like the law kind of respects that too. Like, there's definitely a higher penalty
Yeah.
for crimes where another person's rights or privileges are infringed versus something that is where the effects are like at some nebulous entity. Although the entities can feel pain too, because we think of businesses as people, as fucked up as that is.
Yeah, I mean another victimless crime I can think of is breaking the speed limit and not causing any,
Yeah.
any
Right,
crashes or
right.
anything, stuff like that.
Yeah.
How about
but
you, Park?
littering?
Oh,
Yeah. That one's not victimless.
yes, Greta.
So my
I agree.
How about you, Parker? What are your thoughts?
So I haven't been friends with too many people who've committed a crime and been convicted of it. So like I don't have much knowledge on this topic, but like Andrej said, victimless crimes, of course, I agree with that.
Right.
As long as someone's not getting hurt out of it, or if no one's really dying, that's pretty good. If no one's dying.
Okay, an age-old question. There's only guys today here. What about the bro code? Like if your friend cheats on another friend of yours with his girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like, would you kind of step away from that person, like breaking the bro code?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like it just would depend on the situation.
Okay.
It's like, yeah, we would probably have to have a conversation about it. Like everyone, all the bros involved.
Yeah.
There are multiple bros involved in your scenario?
Yeah.
I'm a little
Yeah, there's
disturbed all
like
of a
2 or
sudden.
3.
Yeah.
There's you, a friend, and then another friend.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And then 2 girlfriends.
Yeah. It kind of shakes your kind of trust, the foundation of your trust in that person if he breaks that particular code. So you look at, like, let's say Parker has a girlfriend, and both of those guys have another really good friend, and he steals Parker's girlfriend.
Gotcha.
You know what I
Now
mean?
That's a little rough.
And that can kind of destabilize your trust in that person.
I'm probably more guilty of that than I think about. Like, I recently had the experience where I went out with a couple of friends, and friend A made a joke about, like, his wife thinking that he was out cheating while he was hanging out with us. And then friend B is like, yeah, when I cheat on my wife, I, like, do this other thing over here. And it was just like, friend A and I stopped. And we were like, did he just announce to us that he cheats on his wife?
Yeah.
And it was pretty awkward for the rest of that experience. And
It wasn't a joke.
so I don't think it was. I think it was just so. I have always kind of wondered how this works. You know, like extreme example, like swingers are a real thing. Like, but I've never experienced it. I've never like gone over to a couple's house and like found out that they want to like swap partners or anything like that.
We've seen people like that. Yeah.
So I've literally never experienced it, and I am not sure how that is broached in a conversation. Do you know what I mean? And I kind of
It's
feel
like,
like
oh, we have a hot tub. Have you seen South Park?
so I feel like maybe it was like him testing the waters to see if this was something that like we were all into, if that makes sense. And if we were all into it, then he could be much more free with talking about the fact that he does it all the time.
But this strengthened your friendship with this guy, I bet.
Well, I mean, whenever there's talk about sex, it's always like strengthening.
It didn't compromise the friendship.
No, it
strengthened
made it super weird. Like, I don't know that we will hang out anymore.
Do you mind to
Really?
tell the name? Just put the last name in front
Sure.
of the first name.
Lefort Fernando. No, I'm not entirely sure. And like when I first posed the question, I was like, I don't know that there's anything that a person would do that, as far as crimes go, that I would say outside of, like you said, something that harms kids. And like I said, I'm probably a little bit more wanting to know what the facts are, if there's like physical violence or something like that. But then you brought up the violation of trust, and I actually got a much bigger problem with that than I thought when I first asked the question, which is interesting to me. That means I got to go pull that part of myself apart later on tonight. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I usually, I don't really have anyone that I wouldn't high five on the street, to tell you the truth.
Even Fernando?
Even Fernando. No, but even some people that I like strongly disagree with, I wouldn't go on the other side of the street if I see him. I would say hi.
So I'm very much that way. Like I think that it's super important that we be able to disagree agreeably. But before I had to think about the whole violation of trust thing, I would have thought that there was like there would have to be something really serious for me to say I don't want to associate with that person. And I think there's probably a lot more than I am aware of. So that's an interesting.
What about Neil?
Oh yeah, Mr. Neil. What are your thoughts?
You guys have covered a lot of it, but anything against kids, that person would be dead to me. But when I think of pretty much any other crime, if that person who is a good friend of mine is in jail, I'm still going to visit them.
Yeah.
I'm going to totally be there to visit them, to support them, even though I don't agree with what they've done. But I'm not going to cut them out of my life.
You always look for redeeming qualities. I can't think of anybody. Oh, wait, I know a guy who actually murdered 2 people, and he's in prison. And I've been to his house a few times at parties and stuff. And I kind of disassociated with that, but I'm not ever going to visit him in prison. It's been proven that he just executed 2 people, tried to kill the third one, and the third one survived somehow. But yeah, no.
Yeah, that's pretty
there's
brutal.
some things. Yeah.
Was he a good friend of yours? Or?
Not really. He was a good friend of one of my best friends, and that's how I know him. I went to his place a few times. He had a massive collection of wine and was a very wealthy guy. And we would go and sample some wines and listen to music and stuff and party. He had a great family, just like fantastic family, 2 grown kids, his wife was wonderful, and there was a motive, there was a reason he did it, and it was monetary. And so, that's somebody. That's the only person I know that's in prison, really. I can't think of anyone else. But yeah, you're right. If there's always a redeeming quality in most people that you can grab onto and try to salvage your relationship with these people, and everybody deserves a second chance. But there are some things that are kind of
You just decide you don't want to be that second chance, and I think that's fair.
Yeah, I do too.
yeah. I've had people stab me in the back, like
Fernando.
no, like professionally, like
Never step in the back.
like people that would be envious of something or and talk behind my back.
Yeah.
And I found out about it, and I'm okay with it. I was mad, but you think about it, and humans are humans, and they have their own demons and ambitions, and it's forgivable. That stuff is forgivable, and it's okay.
Yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head for me. Like there is a level of, I'm sorry, you guys both did. Neil, you and Evo. Like, I think I imagine myself as being like pretty forgiving. But yeah, I also think that there's certain stuff you just don't want to do. Yeah. Now I don't know what the line is. Like I said, I'm going to pull this apart for the next couple days.
Line change. Line
Maybe that's
gets
it.
bigger. Line thicker.
Yeah. Interesting.
People
thinner.
people that watch Newsmax, I eat that stuff too.
All right. Next question. What is the worst smell to you? Because at first I thought this was going to be a super simple question, but as I'm sitting there thinking about
start that.
it. Okay.
Subjective.
Yeah.
Because I lost the sense of smell in 2000. In
COVID?
2000, September 2000. No, car wreck.
Oh,
Holy shit.
2000.
Yep.
That was the car wreck before we met. Okay, gotcha.
It
Yeah.
was very traumatic.
I had a good time cleaning diapers.
Mm-hmm.
You
I
don't.
still,
you
if
can't
I
smell.
use colognes, I still use the colognes that was from my time back in the day.
Right. But I do too, and I still got a sense of smell.
So
I'm just old.
I'm trying to remember whatever was really awful, the worst of the worst. I don't know. I feel vomit. Like every time I smell vomit, even now, not feeling the smell. If I see vomit,
You can still smell
my
it.
brain somehow translate. I don't feel the smell, and I want to vomit on top of the vomit.
Right.
I think that's.
What about your own vomit? You have a problem with
I don't remember. We usually sleep on top.
so it doesn't bother you, obviously.
It's warm. It's comfortable.
Warm. It's like a warm pillow,
Right.
wet pillow.
A warm, wet pillow.
Soft. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is so obviously an all guy show.
Yeah.
Parker, what do you think? What's the worst smell?
There's not many bad smells. I mean, obviously poop, one of my least favorites.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be like the answer everybody had, but then I thought about it. This is probably not the worst for me.
Can be
But-
nasty, but it's not like it's just
Yeah.
say, oh, this is awful, and I gotta get out of here, right?
Yeah, but with my time also working at Sonic, like
Uh-oh.
Andrej, I've smelled some pretty bad smells there, like the trash can when I have to take it out.
Oh, yeah.
And I've also had to
Dumpsters.
spray the trash cans, like, because they get dirty, like oil all over it, like cooking grease or whatever. And just like, it's so hot that,
Forgot about that.
like, the water's so hot that it's like steams up, so the steam gets in my face as I'm looking over it. And it's just disgusting.
Or
I hate
even the
it.
fresh Sonic food.
Dude, no, you can't talk about Sonic fries. I'll eat a Sonic fry, maybe even cold.
Yeah.
They actually have fries. It's usually just tots.
Oh,
right?
no.
No,
Oh,
they
no.
they do fries.
There's many sides.
Oh, there's
Oh, I gotta try that. Yeah.
Jalapeno poppers.
Mr. Andre, what about you? What's the worst smell?
A bad one is my feet sometimes, like after they get sweaty. They are smellier than any other feet I've smelled.
Blue cheese,
they
people
suck.
say.
Yeah, no, it sucks.
Stinks my room up for days. Like my room, even if it stays the night.
Yeah. Yeah, that or like a good fart.
Yeah.
Where it just like
It's got to be a good one, though. Like a standard one doesn't count.
Well,
It's
yeah,
gotta
I
be-
mean, you can still live with a fart, but sometimes there's just a fart that's like, oh my god.
Yeah,
gotta be.
it's the ones that come out hot.
Yeah, you feel like it's almost you're like, oh, got a little too much out.
You just
Yeah, Yeah. My brother and I used to call them acid eggers because it was like it was acid hot and it smelled like fucking rotten eggs.
Yep.
It's like shards, maybe.
Very, very on the edge.
Yeah,
That was what Andrej just said. How much did I let out?
exactly.
Mr. Ivanov.
I don't know. That's a good question, actually. Yeah, you mentioned. Well, I have a golden retriever, so his evil wind is something else. That's horrible.
The devil wind.
Yeah,
Yes.
but I've never smelled the corpse flower. Everybody says that's the worst, or the durian fruit. You know,
I have smelled durian.
Really?
It's
Yeah.
not the best. Yeah.
it's not the best. It's supposed to be one of the most noxious smells
Yeah.
in existence. I've never smelled either of those. I tell you what, one time, Jamie, when we got married, she had a cat called Rusty, and Rusty got attacked by a possum, and it was killed under our porch.
Rusty or the possum?
No, the cat.
The cat, okay.
And I had to climb under the porch to retrieve the body.
No.
There is a smell to death.
Yes.
That's very specific. And it was overwhelming, and it was everywhere. It was like going through the porch and into the house. And it's a very specific thing. It's just, the cat was bloated and dead, and it was gnarly, but the smell I'll never forget. And I worked in a morgue for a month when I was in the army. I see. I was in a hospital. On the 5th floor was where all the stomach surgery was performed, and we've lost 2 or 3 people when I was there, and I had to transport the bodies to the morgue and transfer them onto a different cart and all that stuff. And I faintly remember that smell. It was similar to the cat. It was. I think that's pretty horrible smell.
So, Neil, do you have any?
Yeah. My worst smell in my entire life. I worked in fast food my whole, college career and before.
Yeah.
And I worked at I won't name it, but a Mexican restaurant.
Border Bandido.
Quiet.
They're closed.
All right. Well,
No, maybe.
we worked there, and we had a walk-in cooler that we piled tons of meat in. And the bags would leak, and they drip blood down the back wall, and then the blood would go underneath the linoleum floor of that cooler. So it happened like over 6 months' time before the owner said, we got to clean this place up. So we emptied the cooler, and then we pulled up the linoleum, and I can't describe it, but I mean, I ran and vomited and heated too violently into the sink.
Wow.
It was such a bad smell, and it went in your nose, and it made you convulse, and we were just both puking side by side in the stainless steel sinks.
Did you guys use that liquid in the salsa?
That's
Is the question that was on everybody's mind.
I love it's the secret ingredient.
ended-
I love that place, man.
No, we ended up
Love
taking gallons of bleach and just pouring it in there, and it was horrific, and I've never smelled anything so bad in my life that made me puke. And it was uncontrollable. I have a gut. I never puke. I can drink crazy, and I
We
mean,
know.
But that was nasty.
it made me, my stomach just wrench and puke. Yeah.
So that was, after I had thought about this question, that was what I kind of expected folks to say, because for me it is decaying flesh. It is the
I
thing.
never experienced.
Gotcha. Nope. Like when Evo started talking about the cat, I remember the last time I had to remove a dead animal. Yeah, there's nothing like it. And so interestingly, the morgue thing, I don't think I've ever been in a less than pristine morgue. So there's definitely an antiseptic smell that I associate with it, but nothing wretched.
Yeah.
And
Is that chloroform?
Yeah.
Formaldehyde.
Yeah, and it's usually very clean, but you could still sense that That's why I said faint.
Yeah.
Faint smell of death.
Mm-hmm.
The bodies weren't decayed yet, like
Yeah.
Rusty. It was a completely red cat. It was, I still remember its face when I found it dead. But yeah, I think that smell persists wherever death is, and the lack of circulation, blood in the flesh. So that's an interesting question. There's some kind of disgusting fish that is prepared in a weird way in Scandinavia. I forgot.
Are you talking about the lutefisk?
Something like that. That's supposed to be so bad that it's banned from airplanes. Like
Pretty
you
sure
can't.
that's lutefisk.
It's you can't transport it in a bus or a train because it's that bad.
Take a piece of fish,
Yeah.
dump it in lye, bury it for 3 to 6
Oh,
months,
that's right. Yeah.
and it basically
It turns to liquid or something.
Yeah, like a jelly.
Oh
and,
my god.
just funky stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Ugh.
Vikings.
Yeah, they're insane. Yeah.
all right. After such a uplifting and positive conversation, we're going to switch to the last question, which is, do we have any thoughts on the former president being kicked off the ballots of 2 states? I guess for the young guys, are you following the trials of Trump? Like, did you see that he's been kicked off the ballot for 2 states?
Yeah, what was it? Colorado and something else.
Colorado and Maine have basically said you are not allowed to be on the ballot for the Republican Party.
So they're gonna need to handwrite, right?
So that's going to be one of the interesting questions.
Because it must be, right?
Uh-huh.
It must be. If
Well-
he's running, they gotta have the option to add the name.
I'm not sure that they
manually.
do. I
They-
know
Oh, really?
that at the
So
state
that would be
level.
good.
Yeah.
They removed his name from the primaries. So, and it's a strict interpretation of the Constitution of the 14th Amendment. So item 3 in the 14th Amendment says that you cannot run for public office or have public office if you have engaged in insurrection against the United States government. And they are just following the Constitution word for word.
But-
Word for word.
But he's not. You're just indicted. There's nothing that really. There was not like a trial that's over. Like
Yeah.
say, okay, you did that.
Yeah, exactly.
But
They-
you still can play
yeah.
this card.
Exactly. It nowhere in the 14th Amendment it says that you have to be convicted. If you engage in insurrection, they're following word for word the Constitution, and that's why his cronies in the Supreme Court find it very hard to go against this because they fashioned themselves constitutionalists, and they read the Constitution. If they say no, he needs to be on the ballots, then they open the Pandora's box, because then what do they do with the Second Amendment? You know what I mean? They say we follow the Constitution at all times. Well, here's the Constitution. Now you have to cancel the Constitution
Right.
for one person, so one person can commit whatever crimes he wants. And there's another thing: if they rule in his favor now, what does that mean? That means Biden can stay in power forever. He say, no, I'm just gonna seize the power, the military, and there's precedent already. There's no consequences for a former president. There's not going to be any consequences for me. I'm staying. I'm denying the outcome of the elections. And so it is like they are in a bind. They are in a bind.
Specifically in Colorado, I'm not sure that the Maine decision is going to stand until they take it all the way to the Maine Supreme Court. But
And the Supreme Court, obviously, you have three people appointed by the person in court. They are dying to rule in his favor, dying, and they're just wondering, how can we do it without showing extreme bias? How do we do it and still maintain face as Supreme Court justices? So it will be interesting to see. of course, hypocrisy is at all-time high right now, especially in the Supreme Court, and they will find a way, and he will be back on the ballots. But it would be interesting to see how they're gonna twist around in a pretzel to put their foot in their mouth and embarrass themselves forever and ever. So it will be interesting for sure.
I agree with that 100%. Yeah. Does anybody else want to chime in on this?
I don't really know what's going on.
Really, that's basically it. There's 2 states that have essentially said Trump is not allowed to be on the primary.
On the ballot.
Yeah.
To
Yeah,
run.
I mean, that's good news.
He had that one funny mugshot.
The mugshot, it was calculated. He went to get the mugshot deliberately that way to show how aggressive he is and bullish, and to use it for fundraising purposes and T-shirts and stickers and and it worked to perfection. If he's good at something, it's marketing. That's the only thing he hasn't failed at. He's
And-
marketing himself. So.
And he's capitalizing a lot on that. That's the interesting part. And I never like my think it would be that maybe he would find a thing like Al Capone, diverting money that he gets from some donation and put somewhere else to pay his lawyer bills.
I'm confident that's going to be what takes him out.
I mean, I'm just like surprisingly how long is it taking? Because I was expecting after the insurrection day, I thought 20 days after, we already would see this motion that we saw a year ago, not getting close to elections. It's like, this is slow motion kills me, but I get it. There is different laws, different states. Federal law is one thing, and it's always like very different to. I mean, that's out of the ordinary, right? Never there was a president in court with a situation close to that in a very separate government. So fingers crossed. Hopefully, more states cross this nice guy.
Yeah.
And we'll see.
It showed incredible guts. These people, the Supreme Court of Colorado and the Secretary of State of Maine, showed such bravery, knowing the madness that's going to follow, the death threats, the threats to their own safety and their life, and they didn't care. They were like, no, we adhere to the law, and this is what we're going to do because that's the right thing to do. Only 2 states out of 50 showed those guts.
So far. It's gonna. I'm sure there's gonna be more, but I'm not sure it's gonna ultimately matter by the time the Supreme
Do you
Court.
think Kentucky will be there, like West Virginia, perhaps?
Perhaps.
It's going to be
South
the states
Carolina.
that don't really matter
Yeah.
in election. They're going to be won by Democrats.
Democrats
Although
anyway.
Colorado has been kind of purple lately.
Yeah, it's Colorado is a flaky. It's a little on the fence, right?
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see where this is going to go. But they showed bravery. Kudos to them. They did the right thing. Followed the Constitution of the United States, and more power to them. And let's see what happens.
All right. I think we have come to the end of our show. I want to thank each one of you individually. Thank you, Fernando. Thank you, Ivo. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Parker. Thank you, Andrej. Again, I have been Lou Walton, and this is the first episode in 2024 of Wednesday Night Retros.
Yay! Awesome.